Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending when you are tuning in to watch this session, and welcome to Global Azure's events. So, as part of this event with Give Me Cloud Talks, I'm going to present a session about what is your strategy to become an Azure architect in 2025 and pass that AZ-305 exam. Before diving into that, I want to say thank you for all the organizers of Global Azure 2025, and especially to Dwayne, who is also trying his best to organize it from Gimme Cloud Talks, uh, you know, uh, user group perspective. So without any overdue, let me share the screen here so we can get started. I hope you see this screen that I'm sharing here. So let's dive into that and see. Before going further there, again, thank you for watching this session, or maybe you are going to tune in with YouTube to watch it after the live session is done. My name is Elhan. I'm going to be your presenter today. I'm a director of cloud and infrastructure at a local company called T-Rex Solutions, which I'm going to speak a little bit after these slides. And I'm also a contributor to the Microsoft communities. I'm also Microsoft MVP and MCT community lead, helping our students and as well as trainers to upskill uh, to teach and help the students with Microsoft technologies, especially in Microsoft Azure area. Without any overdue, I want to jump to the next one, which is what we will cover on this session. So first of all, we'll go and start is where to start your journey in becoming a cloud architect, especially the Azure Cloud Architect and AZ-305 exam. Then we'll look into understanding the responsibilities of Azure Architect, what it takes to be Azure Architect, what make them different, and what type of responsibilities they do assume and they need to perform for their customer. Then we'll look into how to get you ready for AZ-305 exam, what are the exam objectives, on a high level, what you need to get ready to study, and what is the best way to tackle it. And then we'll look, and after that, we will look into learning resources and exam tips. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. All right, I hope you are all excited about that. Before jumping into this, let me introduce the T-Rex Solutions, which is a medium-sized company here in the DMV area of the East Coast US. We serve our customers across different uh, spectrum, namely from civilian government and as well as Intel communities. We also have CSP partnership with different cloud solution providers, and we have this T-Rex Care. So if you are in the market, let me know. We have some open positions, and I'll be glad to help you uh, to check with you to see if you have the suitable position that you want to apply. Okay, that said, let's jump into where to start your journey of Azure Architect and how this journey looks like from certification perspective. First of all, as you see here, there is an exam AZ-305 that comes with a course called AZ-305 Designing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solutions. You can get this as a self-paced learning from Microsoft Learn, or you can also have instructor-led, where you need to find an institution who is going to provide that training for you to sign in and then get it. Um, there's a prerequisite as well if you want to get Azure Solution Architect Expert Cert, then you would need to pass two exams. There's AZ-104 and AZ-305. You can take them independently, and the good part is that once you pass AZ-104, you're going to get Azure Administrator Associate certifications. And then by passing AZ-305, you will get your Azure Architect Expert Cert. But before going to the exam and trying to pass them, I want to emphasize the experience that you want to bring to that. So if you already working with organizations where you are guiding your customers as an Azure architect and you have some experience in Azure administration, then it will definitely help you in your preparation for the exam. In addition to that, you need to be well versed in different areas of IT, including DevOps and IT operations, and I'm going to mention that in our next slide. So let's look at that. So, so what to expect from you as a cloud architect if you never played that role or you never worked there, but you want to get prepared yourself for those responsibilities that you want to step in and learn, then of course there are a number of things that you need to consider as a cloud architect, because you are going to play a crucial role in designing, implementing, and managing cloud solutions on Azure platform. And as you see here, some of the core responsibilities are going to be designing and implementation, where you need to develop and implement Azure-based solutions, ensuring that they meet the business requirements and align with the best practices. Then you have this cloud strategy, right? Next, you are going to play a very crucial role in defining the cloud strategy for your organization, and as well as uh, helping your organization to adopt cloud adopt the cloud services, application design and management. Then another part that you play is collaboration. As an Azure architect, you need to have really good skills to collaborate with different stakeholders, namely some within the project. You may want to collaborate between developers, administrators, security engineers, and data engineers to ensure that resiliency, security, and optimal performance of the Azure infrastructure is taken into place. And this is the technical part. Sometimes you have to collaborate with stakeholders where a company may have different sub-departments or divisions that are involved into this implementation or change that you are bringing. As an Azure architect, you need to find the way to collaborate, bring the, bring this change, and also give confidence to your stakeholders. Next stuff here is monitoring and security. As an Azure architect, you want to ensure that robust monitoring and security measures are in place to protect your cloud resources and data. And optimization, of course, plays an important role. Once you have your workloads that are, performing within given environments, you want to find the way to fine tune them, optimize them for cost efficiency and scalability. You want to plan accordingly for those. Next thing is to be well versed. You also need to have some background in IT operations, like advanced experiences in networking, virtualization, identity, security, business continuity, and as well as disaster recovery, where you also bring the experience of data, understanding data platforms, and governance of the resources. Next thing is you also need to have this DevOps mindset, being familiar with DevOps processes and as well as the administration of the Azure environment. Then, of course, soft skills and leadership is very important part of it. And, part of this, you also want to get ready and be Azure Solution Architect Expert, and as well as bring this problem solving mentality or problem solving, uh, you know, problem solving is very important there. And part of this is as a leadership, you need to define clear communication lines where you have strong communication skills to effectively convey technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders and win support for your project. And as a leadership, you need to lead and mentor team in cloud technology processes as you would be proposing change into the system. Now let's look at some exam objectives that are grouped into categories if when you try to tackle the AZ-305. But again, this slide is very important in terms of what are expected from you when you become an Azure cloud architect or generally a cloud architect. All right, so there are four main groups where your skills are going to be measured for AZ-305 exam. And within this group, we will cover some of the exam objectives on a high level to address them from Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, and Group 4. And this percentage on the left side is approximate percentage of the questions expected from each group, so that you know how to how to get yourself ready for that. Next here, the group one, which is covering the design, identity, governance, and monitoring solutions. We speak about those elements of the exam objectives. And to look at some of those, part of this is, of course, the designing the logging and monitoring solutions, where Azure Monitoring comes as a very important service that going to serve your needs, your solutioning needs to the customer. And at this part, let's look at this closer look at monitoring as it is an exam domain objective. As you see in this diagram, you can collect your logging and monitoring information from different environments, and where you can have custom application, you can have different infrastructure like on-prem and as well as the in the cloud, and as well as the from Azure platform itself. So once those data sources are collected, there are different ways how you can collect them, and you can use the Azure monitoring agents, SDKs. You can also use the APIs to pull those logs. So once you get them, those metrics and logs, they get gathered with the trace and changes into the data platform. Typically, it gets stored into Azure Log Analytics. That's the common repository which you need to design accordingly. And after that, those data can be consumed by different applications and different platforms. You can also stream that data into another logging platform that your customer wants you to do. Okay, that's it. Let's look at the before switching to the next exam objectives. I want to mention that part of this exam actually is to get some hands-on practice, and you may consider applied skills on certain topics to get that hands-on skills. Namely, for Azure monitoring, there's an applied skills, and I highly recommend you to go and look into that. For example, here in the applied skills, I just get the screenshot of it where you have a number of them. There are actually more than 27 at this moment. There's close to 30. So I definitely advise you to check them in order to get some hands-on skills on certain task-based exercises that you can accomplish using the applied skills. And you also get a badge on that you can, use, demonstrate, as well as put that into your resume. Okay, that's it. Let's move to the second domain objective, where we are going to talk about designing data storage solutions. With this domain objective, of course, there are different types of data that you need to consider, and as well as the structure of data plays a big difference. And once you have the data, designing data integration becomes very, very crucial. Let's look at the closer look at storage exam domain objectives, where you are going to be basically assessed against the relational data knowledge and as well as non-relational data. Each of them comes with their own pros and cons. And I'm not going to read through the slides. As you see, there's like semi-structured and unstructured data. And specifically when we talk about relational data, we are more talking about the structured data that you can find in SQL databases, where you have rows, columns, and keys. And with semi-structured data, we are talking more of a document type of data like XML, JSON, or YAML. And then you may have unstructured data, where you can organize data type, and it can be multimedia or media type of data that you need to process and provide to your applications. With all those different solutions, you may have a questions how you can choose the correct relational data product for your customer. And this is another decision tree that's available on Microsoft Learn documentation that you can have this ready when you're trying to decide which relational database is good for your customer. Next, let's look at designing business continuity solutions. And this is a very critical part of any production system, that you are preparing or you are assessing for your customer, where you need to find and define solution for backup and disaster recovery, and as well as define what's the desired high availability, what type of high availability customers of the application do expect. And when we speak about these disaster recovery methods, there are a number of them that are listed here. Azure Site Recovery is a very robust way to um, provide disaster recovery for your workloads. Of course, Azure Backup is an integral part of it, and you can use also VM snapshots. And with Microsoft Azure Backup Services, which stands for MABS, it can give you enhanced backup capabilities to protect your VMs, files and folders, workloads, and more. That said, let's look at next exam objective, which is around the design infrastructure solutions. So when we speak about design infrastructure solutions, which is one of the, I would say, biggest part of this exam that you want to get ready, we are talking more about compute solutions. We have separate chapter there for application architecture and migration, and a separate chapter for network solutions. Each of them is very important part of the exam. So let's look at the another diagram where we'll have some good decision tree how to choose a compute service. This is another diagram here where whenever you start to find a solution, a service that is the best suited for your customer needs, then you come with certain things. For example, if you are looking at some managed service where you can define some Azure, where you wanna run fully fledged, where you wanna run your containers, but you do not require a fully fledged orchestration of those containers. At that time, if I come here, so we are here at the start menu, right? So let me get the highlighter. So if you start here, you want to migrate or build new application, yes. And if that's the thing, you want to build new, no. So it's going to go this way, and then is a hyper performance computing? No, it's not. Is the microservice architecture? No. And is this requires some event-driven workloads? No. And then does it need full-fledged orchestration? No. So if that's the case, then you are talking about Azure Container Instances. This is just an example, but again, using these decision trees, especially the ones that are available on Microsoft Learn, you can get some better understanding in terms of what type of options and choices you have to be selected from the services when you are trying to provide solution for your customers. That said, let's look at some learning resources that you can use for AZ-305 exam and how they can help you. There are a number of resources, but of course, we want to first start with Microsoft Learn modules, which should be very integral and important part to start your preparation. That will cover all the exam materials that are expected to come. Then you have this Cloud Marathoner blog post that you can look into, and there's a study guide for AZ-305. We have some of the MVPs who have their study guides. One of them is Thomas Maurer that you can look into. Of course, we also have official practice exam, which I'm going to switch to the website and show that to you. We have some good videos from John Savills, which is Microsoft Architect, on his YouTube channel. Then we have labs and exercises that come with the training. And then we have Azure Architect Center, where you can look at different architectures, some explanations with trade-offs. We have Microsoft Exam Simulator, and as well as we have pre-practice assessment that comes as part of it. So that said, let me switch here to the browser. This is my X account. If you want to follow some of the Azure architecture recommendations and posts that I'm doing from time to time, you are all very welcome to go and check this X account. It's here, El Yusubovic, that's my X or Twitter X account that you can use. Next here, you can also follow me on LinkedIn, and I also post a lot about Azure architecture and trade-offs you have with different architecture and services that you can use in Azure. So please go and check this LinkedIn. Again, my name is Elhan Yusubov. I'm Microsoft Azure MVP and Cloud Marathoner. So go ahead and check it. You can also drop a note if you would like to get connected. That said, we come here because I wanted to show you some AZ-305 exam page, and as well as the resources that are readily available there that you can use in your day-to-day preparation. That said, in addition to looking into that, the section about the tips here is very important. You can look into some once you are finished with the Microsoft Learn modules, which are all listed under here. So Microsoft Learn modules are under the self-paced. I would definitely advise to go and after finishing those Learn modules, watch the exam prep videos. It would be short review of the material that you are going to learn through Learn module. Next, I would also advise to review the study guide to make sure you are not missing anything, and you can also experience some demo with exam sandbox just to get the experience what to expect during the exam. So once you consider those tips. Next thing here is before heading to the exam, I really recommend you, once you schedule the exam, before the exam, take a free practice assessment. And it will have approximately 50 questions, so you can get some idea what to expect during the exam. That said, in terms of self-paced, you have these learning modules that needs to be completed so that you are covering the exam objectives. If you want to get instructor-led training, where Microsoft certified trainers help the students to learn, then you can check instructor-led training here and check which solution providers are actually which learning solution organizations can provide that. You would have to register, of course, pay for that, and get yourself available for those training sessions. Okay, that said, I'm going to switch back to the slides. And as you know, part of this exam, AZ-305, there is a case studies. There are case studies where you may have a certain case actually defined. And let's switch the slides here, where you can have a certain specific, scenario defined with the customer who is trying to achieve a new, let's say they may developing or they are trying to transition to a new system, and then you would be given the description of the system where they are trying to move, what are the challenges, and then a number of questions between 5 to 7 are going to be associated with that use case, so that you need to understand the use case so that you can answer those questions. For example, here, as you see on the right side, we have a diagram, and we are going to review this diagram for scenario-based questions on design and architecture. For this case study, a Cantos organization is looking to update their website to include customer supplied product images in addition to the existing photos provided by marketing. They believe that having more photos of products in use will give potential customers a better feel for how past customers love their products after purchasing them. They do have some requirements, and those requirements are reflected in the questions that are going to appear on the left side. So one of those questions, let's start with the first, where should the images be stored? There are questions about how will you ensure that all images are scanned even when uploads are outpacing the scanning. And the last question, once images are approved and the catalog database is updated, how will the customer be notified? So there are different links and different case studies as an example to get you ready. Please check my GitHub profile. I'm going to post this and I'm going to upload those links for the case studies so that you can use them for your preparations. Okay. In addition to that, I want to mention that there's also AZ-305 exam videos available on LinkedIn platform that you can use for your preparation. One of them is Azure Solutions Architect Expert exam. I'll provide that link in the PDFs, and there's also a scan if you wanna check that course. All right, if you never used your free Azure subscription, I would also advise you to go and subscribe for it. It comes with always free services, and it's a good starter where you would get certain credits for depending the region where you are trying to register, and you'll have at least 1 month to use those credits. Okay, that's it. We are in the section of Q&A. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them. You can also use, if you are watching this session later from the YouTube, please go to the comment sections and put your questions, or you can directly reach to me from Twitter X or on the LinkedIn and ask those questions. I would be more than glad to help you in your learning journey of becoming cloud architect. All right, so let's wrap it up today by looking into what we covered in the sessions. First, we start with the where to start your learning journey. Then we look into understanding the responsibilities of Azure Architect, what it takes to become an Azure Architect. Then we looked into how to get you ready for AZ-305 exam. Namely, we looked into 4 domain groups of objectives, and each objective uh, which is basically covering what you need to learn for this exam and get ready for it. Then we looked into a number of learning resources and exam tips, and we had a small Q&A session. All right, that's it. Let me share some QR code if you are on your mobile app. Again, I'm also going to provide the PDF file, or I'm going to provide this presentation in my GitHub profile. Just check the description of the YouTube within a day. I want to make sure I capture everything. So you can look into study guides available on Cloud Marathoner blog. You can also get Microsoft Learn modules from AZ-305. Also, there's awesome Azure Architect GitHub collection that you can check, run by a very good MVP, Luke Murray from New Zealand. And you also have LinkedIn preparation course that you can check here on the QCR. All right, that's it. Let's wrap it up today. Thank you everyone for watching this session. I didn't want to bore you. That's why I went with the moderate pace and tried to explain as much as possible. But this is part of the videos created for Global Azure 2025. Again, your speaker today is Elhan Yusubov, Microsoft Certified Trainer, Microsoft Certified Trainer Community Lead, and as well as MVP, Microsoft MVP, who is trying to help the students to upskill. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Before saying bye to everyone and finishing our course, I want to say that, uh, uh, you know, check the Cloud Marathoner blog post. If you have any additional questions on how to get prepared for the exam, what does it look like in terms of open book, right, where you can, during the exam, use the Microsoft Learn to review certain materials if you are not sure about your answer. So these are all tips and tricks that you can use for your exam. But most importantly, before heading to the exam, make sure that you cover the exam objectives. You try your free test that is provided on the Exam 305 webpage, and just check with your colleagues and as well as the MCT trainers to get into best way of preparation to be ready for the exam. All right. Take care, everyone. Glad that you have been watching. You are here and watching till now. Let me know if you have any comments, and please subscribe to the Cloud Marathoner channel. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.